Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Brian Kevin Boothe. If I pronounce anything wrong, I do apologize. Brian had a smile that lit up a room, an infectious laugh, a silly giggle, and a heart of gold. Brian had a way of really appreciating others and making each and every person he knew feel special. Brian was extremely generous. He had a wonderful sense of humor, a quick wit, and was great fun to be with. Brian was loving the life he created for himself. Brian had moved from a lifetime on Long Island to his own apartment in Manhattan just a few years before his death. Brian really enjoyed living in Manhattan and the excitement of the city. Brian was a great dancer. He enjoyed going to clubs, having a few drinks with friends, and dancing. Brian loved to ski. He liked to travel and had made several trips to Aspen and throughout the United States, as well as a cross-country trip with a group of friends. He enjoyed dining out. One of his favorite restaurants was the Water Club in New York City. Brian loved and was loved by everyone who knew him. He had so many friends and touched so many lives during his brief stay on this earth. Brian was fiercely loyal, incredibly protective, caring, and nurturing to his family and friends. Brian was a sensitive young man who treated others well, validating and appreciating each person he knew. He was a great listener who would offer his advice without judgment, a truly gifted individual. He was a hard-working, tireless, and dedicated employee of Seabrook Consulting at the time of his death. He was driven by work and always gave 100% to whatever he was doing. Brian was very meticulous and prided himself on going the extra mile. Brian graduated from Pacheco Medford High School. He completed his associate's degree in banking and finance at Suffolk Community College. He was pursuing a BBA in banking and finance at Hofstra University while working full-time. Brian was a loving son to his parents, Catherine and Thomas Boothe. He was the beloved friend and cherished brother of Donna, Jimmy, Tommy, and Sean. He was a treasured brother-in-law to Nicole and Joe. Brian was ecstatic to be chosen as godfather to his firstborn nephew, Owen. He was delighted in spending time with his nieces and nephews. He was anticipating the arrival of another niece, who he never got to see. She was born in February 2003 and is his namesake, Brianna. 35-year-old Brian Boothe had plans to spend Christmas with his family in 2002. On Christmas Eve, he went to work before finishing his Christmas shopping. He went to the Gap and bought his niece's presents, then he stopped by Rite Aid and the dollar store. He went back to his apartment and wrapped the presents. He checked in with his mom to confirm again for Christmas dinner the next day at 2 p.m. Then he went out for a drink. He started the evening around 6:15 p.m. at the Phoenix in the East Village. Then he was spotted at the Wonder Bar. Finally, he ended up at his last stop, the Cock. According to Brian's best friend, it was a place you would go at the end of the night if you wanted to pick up a date. He was pretty certain Brian had met someone at the bar. Witnesses said he left around 1 a.m. No one saw Brian arrive home, and no one could recall if he left the Cock alone. 2 p.m. Christmas Day arrived. Brian had not shown up for the family dinner. His family was immediately alarmed. He was usually early. They tried to call him, but he didn't answer. Around 6 p.m., Brian's brother Jimmy and his brother-in-law arrived at the Stuyvesant town apartment in Manhattan. Jimmy had a key and let the two men inside the 8th floor apartment. In Brian's bedroom doorway, they found Brian's body, on his side in a pool of blood. According to reports, he was nude, wrapped in a blanket, and his head was facing the door. There were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. The door was locked. On the kitchen counter were 3 beer bottles, and Brian had drink tokens in his pocket. His laptop and cell phone were missing, but his wallet was in his dresser and contained $160. Brian had been stabbed. The murder weapon, a kitchen knife, was found at the scene. In the bag with the Christmas presents, the medical examiner said the knife had entered the left side of Brian's neck and lacerated his trachea, esophagus, and right lung. His tox screen showed no signs of drugs, and his BAC was around 0.05. In the weeks before his death, Brian had spoken to 2 unknown men multiple times. Both of these men Brian called after 3 a.m. She insisted they look into who they were. The police told her they found them and spoke with them. The men were not suspects. Gay City News also reached out to 2 of the men. They spoke to one who said he met Brian at the bar, and they traded emails and phone calls. The 2 didn't see each other again. The other man never responded. There is a $12,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest and a conviction in this case. Calls, which are kept confidential, can be made to Detective Danaher at 217-477-7444, to 800-577-TIPS, or to AVP at 212-714-1141. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I will see you on the next one.